I'm Tony Ruiz, contributing editor at Gold Derby, here with Raúl Castillo, who plays a very unexpectedly sensitive drill instructor in the new film, The Inspection. And Raúl, when you look at Rosales, this is a guy that has so many more layers than I think the standard drill instructor that we maybe might come to see in movies. So I guess my first question is, what did you think about him when you first read the script?
I love characters who sort of live in the gray zone. I love characters that don't I love when a writer doesn't spoon feed you what a character is, and lets the actor interpret it. And I think Elegance is such a gifted writer in that, he's given each of us in the cast like so much to work with. And we certainly all have our specific roles to play, but I was excited about Rosales. I think he's like, we haven't seen a character like him, certainly not a Latino character like him. And I was excited to play him.
When I spoke with Jeremy, he was talking about how, you had 19 days to make this film, and you're in Mississippi in the middle of summer. And so from an acting standpoint, what of all of those challenges, what is kind of like the first big challenge that comes up?
I think playing a Marine and honoring that story. We were very lucky in that we had an incredible military consultant. Octavia Jones is served alongside Elegance, and she was brought on and worked with Bokeem Woodbine and Nick Logan, who plays Brooks, myself, to kind of whip us into shape. It was, the physicality, the vocal cadence, all that was like, it was living in a different kind of energy for that that time that we were shooting, and really want to sort of terrorize these recruits, and at the same time connect with them when in a sense. But Elegance was really specific about us, the drill instructors, sort of alienating the recruits from the get-go. We were told not to fraternize with them. We were told not to mingle with them in any way. And as an actor, I'm such an open-hearted kind of, my instrument is entirely open-hearted, and then so to create that alienation was tricky, but it was fun. We had fun doing that. I remember Nick Logan, who plays Brooks, and I in the hotel lobby, one of the recruits tried to talk to us, and we just kind of ignored him and just went about our business. And it was fun, but it was challenging for sure, because I'm a social creature. So yeah. So
in such a small amount of time, how did you kind of connect with Rosales as a character and create those layers and get inside of his skin?
I mean, when I read it, the script, I really connected. I think that if there's any through line with the characters that I've played throughout my career, is I've been able to play characters that sort of challenge notions of masculinity, and Rosales kind of fits into that palette, and certainly he's different than anyone I played. So just I didn't study acting, so I have to kind of reinvent the wheel each time. I approach a script, and Elegance gave me such great tools to work with. With limited time, we were in Jackson, Mississippi in August of 2021. There's not a lot to do in Jackson. It's it was a fun place to be, and I'm from Texas, so it's somewhat adjacent culturally. But we were in this kind of like a bubble as a cast and crew. it was about kind of locking into that isolation. I mean, if anything, like the thing that I connected deeply with was Rosales. There's a scene with Rosales where he's speaking to his wife on the phone, and they're going through tough times because of the fact that he's on this tour of duty and they have to separate themselves for these periods of time. And I know what that is as an actor. When I go away to shoot, I'm in a relationship, and certainly it's challenging, to be away from my fiance for like weeks at a time. And I understand those frustrations. So it's always about trying to find the end and how you connect and how you're like a character and how you're different. And I found a lot of points of connection with him.
I'm so glad you brought up that scene, because I feel like that scene is so important to understanding that this is a guy who has to portray this kind of alpha male, personality to these recruits, and yet at the same time, it gives us kind of a window into his own vulnerability.
Absolutely.
So in working in that kind of heightened environment, and did you find things in yourself that you had never kind of experienced before in that kind of heightened environment?
Yeah, I didn't play sports at any point in my life. I've always been drawn to like the women in my life. I'm really close to my sister and my mom. I was very close to my father as well, and I'm close to my brother. But the women in my life, I've always gravitated to women. I didn't play those group sports where I was like around a lot of dudes, So this movie is like really dude heavy, It's a lot of male energy. So that was very new for me. I think in the projects that I've done, it's actually, for this story, it's remarkably hetero male, a very hetero male environment. Like I remember the one day that Gabby was on set, that I was, she was on set with all of us, just to have like that female energy was wild. It's a scene toward the end of the film where after the graduation, it was like having like a queen walk into the room, because it's been this like pack of rabid dogs, like, for like weeks, and I just think that was very informative. That was very helpful for me. I played Marine. I played a Marine before on stage. This was the first time doing it on film. But this was the most immersive, I would say, kind of experience. But, having access to elegance was an incredible gift, because there's no greater expert for this story, and he's telling his own story. So that was a great gift for us as a cast. Absolutely.
One of the things that is so fascinating to me, there's that great scene in the middle of the film where basically it's like a debate between your character and Bokeem Woodbine's character about his approach to train these Marines, and I'm curious how much discussion you and Bokeem had during that scene, because it's such a powerful scene and gives us such a sense of who these two guys are.
I should say first off that I've been a Bokeem Woodbine fan since Dead Presidents. Like, I remember watching that when that movie came out, and when Elegance told me he was going to be playing Laws, I was over the moon. I was nervous because when you respect someone so much, and you watch them in the public eye, and then you wonder what they're going to be like, and you don't want to be, you hope that they're everything you imagine them to be, and you don't want to be disappointed. You don't want to be, but it's a tricky business, and anytime you meet someone but Bokeem couldn't have been more gracious and more just thrilling to work with. He was so open and accessible, and we didn't discuss the scene a whole lot. I think he's very instinctual, as am I. I think we work very similarly. There was so in that respect, he made my job easy. Like, I think trust in a scene like that's so confrontational for me, especially when it's someone when I'm working opposite someone I respect so much, that I had to be able to trust him, and I hope that he trusted me. I think I trust that he did. because it was because it's so confrontational. I wanted to feel that we were both safe, and we, you know, and we had a good time. The three of us, you know, Nick Logan, who plays Brooks. So, you know, there was a lot of just camaraderie that had nothing to do with the scene in between takes, and that's more important than actually talking about the scene. And there was a lot of conversation around the scene, of course, with Elegance and him, and Elegance, you know, kind of guiding us along the way. But I think Bokeem just made my job really easy.
What is it? What do you think? You know, Rosales clearly sees something in the character of Ellis. He sees something in him. What do you think it is that he sees in him?
You know, it's interesting because I had a professor in college. I went to college in Boston University. I'm from a border town, McAllen, Texas, which is, you know, McAllen's a really homogenous environment. And I was a little naive about how this country worked in a lot of ways. And I go to undergrad in Boston, and my eyes were, you know, ripped wide open. I realized that I didn't really understand a lot about how this country worked. And I had a professor by the name of James Spruill. He was an African-American professor in a very white environment. And I was a knucklehead my freshman year. I had a lot of discipline problems, and Jim took me under his wing and really schooled me on a lot of things. He schooled me on acting, but he also schooled me on what it is to be a man of color in this country. And if it hadn't been for Jim, I don't know that I would have made it through those 4 years of college. I don't know that I'd be here today as an actor because I wasn't equipped for that environment. And I think that Rosales very similarly sees great potential in French. He sees someone who exhibits true leadership skills, but he's like this like an abandoned animal, you know, just like I watched Jeremy in those opening scenes, and he just looks like this, you know, like he seems like just like a stray, you know, like this, just like that need, like my buddy Felix Felice, who just killed it on Ozark this last season. He just adopted a pup a couple of years ago by the name of Jackie Robinson, this dog who was a stray, and he's given Jackie like a whole lot of love. And Jackie's, you know, I remember meeting Jackie when they had just adopted him, and he was like this, just like there was like this ball of frenetic energy. And now to see him now after receiving so much love, and he's just like this other kind of, he's just another kind of dog now. And I think Rosales sees a lot of potential in French. And while everyone else is brutalizing him, I think he wants to instruct and build him up.
Yeah, and it takes a lot to I love that line you have opposite Jeremy, where basically you ask where Rosales asks French, you know, why are you always screwing things up? You know, he basically puts it out to him like you are so much more capable than you think you are.
Yeah. And that's all, like, that's tough love, right? Isn't that like it's not just all about nurturing, but he also has to give him a little bit, you know, of a lashing, you know, 20 lashings with a wet noodle kind of thing. Yeah.
So you know, that relationship is so it's interesting, because at the end of the film you actually think that those two characters have had more interaction than they actually have, because the ones that they have, the interactions that they have so much meaning behind it. So what was your working relationship with Jeremy like?
Oh, wonderful. I mean, we both come from theater, so there was a simpatico there. I feel like my favorite scene partners are you know, you don't need to do a lot of talking. We did a lot of we did in between the scenes, but my favorite scene partners are the ones where you can just look them in the eye. If you have a great script, if you have a great scene to work on, you just, you know, you give them your line, they give you their. It's about, you know, listening and responding. That's how, because I didn't study acting, I think the one thing that especially this professor that I just mentioned earlier, Jim, the thing that he taught me, that he instilled in me was truthfulness. just being truthful in the moment and listening and responding. And Jeremy made that so easy for me. He's just so truthful, and those are my favorite kinds of scene partners. So yeah, I just saw him this weekend. We had some screenings here in LA, and I just feel nothing but love Jeremy. I'm so excited about him, and he's only made a couple of movies. He's had a prolific career in a lot of senses. He's Tony nominated, I think. He's like, but I'm excited for him to have this kind of launching point as an actor, as a feature actor. I think the world doesn't know what's coming to them with Jeremy Pope.
One of the things that I find so interesting about this film is that it could easily just be described as this story about a queer man of color. But to me, I feel like this film is about so much more than just that. It's also about, definitions of masculinity and, men of color in different positions of power or lack of power.
Yep.
Do you see something universal about this film?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this film is, like Elegant put it beautifully. It's the gay Black Rocky. It's very inspirational. I was at Austin Film Festival a couple of weeks ago, which Austin's more of a writers festival, but I begged 24 to let me go with Elegance to promote the film because my brother lives in Austin, so I selfishly wanted to go to Austin. And I'm from Texas, so I have a lot of friends and family there. And my brother came out to see the film, and I called him. I didn't have a lot of time to chat with him afterward, and I flew back to New York, and I realized I always love hearing what my brother thinks of projects that I do, because I find his opinion, I value his opinion a lot. And I called him up the next day when I landed back in New York, and I was like, "What do you think of the film?" And he's like, "I don't like dramas a whole lot." And I was like, "Yeah, but I found it really funny. I found this film really funny, and I was surprised by that." He said, "So I think this film is so accessible." I was on stage recently for the first time in 8 years. I did a play called American Televisions at New York Theater Workshop, and this play was so wild and so out there. New York Theater Workshop is known for doing work that's like elevated but the thing
your hair alone in that play is its own character. Just wanted to put that out there.
I love that. But yeah, it was like the thing that I found really beautiful, even though the play was like, really elevated and really out there in its form, that it was really accessible. I had family that came to see that play, and it had themes that were like, even when I love work that can be like heavy and complicated and complex. And then, we had, like, for instance, like the custodian from the theater brought his family to come see the play and loved it, because I think there was like something really accessible. Our playwright Victor Casares like incorporated these themes that, although it could be quite highbrow, it was very, I think, accessible to people who never go to the theater. And I think The Inspection works on a similar level. I think, like, yes, it's an A24 film, and yes, A24 is known for doing like work that challenges audiences and work that really pushes the envelope. But this film is really inspirational. I think it's accessible to anyone. Like, I think I'm excited for it to launch this weekend, because I think audiences are going to be pleasantly surprised the way my brother was.
Well, congratulations on the Gotham nomination. It's just a lovely, lovely, lovely film. Everybody go to goldderby.com, make your predictions for the upcoming award season, and stay tuned for more interviews with contenders in the coming months. Raúl Castillo, congratulations. Great pleasure to talk to you. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Tony. Thank you very much. Take care.